As the Trump administration begins its first 100 days in office, we are at Guantanamo Bay and we'll be reporting from here at Camp Justice. We'll be inside the courtrooms. We'll have updates on the status of the military trials as well as the detention camps. This new administration is going to have to make some hard choices about the future of this operation.
We're on our way to get home.
I'm traveling this week to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. We've just arrived at the airport and now we're taking the ferry over to Camp Justice. That's home to the military trials and the military courts. Of course, the big case is the 9/11 prosecution. There is so much secrecy around this entire base. There are a lot of things that we would like to show you, but they're off limits. They're restricted for national security reasons. And what's striking to me is that so many Americans don't even realize that the detention camps are still open. The military trials have still.
So please, someone give me an answer. Why would they release that video the same day Trump gets inaugurated? What is coming? What are they preparing us for? Predictive programming, getting the population ready for the justice that is going to be served. Remember, like I shared in my stories and all my highlights, and I've been sharing for years, and the documents.info and the greatest show on earth and the military laws, the executive orders, the U.S. code, stuff that would go over most people's head, if not everyone's head, including mine. Law of War Manual, the PEDS Act, Devolution series, and Biden actually partially stopped the devolution path. It's crazy. It's crazy, and it's also happening, and it's real. So again, believe what you want. It's all out there. You come to your own conclusions. And then the next few stories, I'm going to share a little bit on Trump's speech, Trump's day, some of the things that happened, summarize it as best I can, and then I'll be sharing more tomorrow because there is a lot to digest here, and my gosh, the best is yet to come. Keep going. So one of the big things that was discussed is income taxes and creating something called the External Revenue Service, not like the IRS. The IRS is the Internal Revenue Service where they tax us, me and you, everyday citizens, on a lot of the things that we shouldn't really be taxed for because you go deeper, taxes unconstitutional, it's not in the tax code, all these different things. You create the ERS. What is that? It's basically charging tariffs in a way on other countries if they are going to use American-made goods and services. And so instead of charging us and taxing us money, especially on our hard-earned money with income tax, we're going to actually put a tax on other countries who have been taking advantage of the sweat equity, the labor, the physical and mental work that everyday Americans do in the workplace, in corporate, in entrepreneurship, whatever we're creating. People will take those in other countries and we don't get a thing. We don't get a tax for that. Imagine getting paid a stipend or a tax when other countries buy products that you helped create and build. Can you imagine? So that would be where the next aspect of it is coming. So I've talked about this before. USA Incorporated is bankrupt. The IRS in DC is already boarded up and locked up. The IRS is unconstitutional. You have the DOJ, Department of Government Efficiency, which is going to come in and do all the audits. It's already collapsing. And if you are not excited about this, I have no clue what you're watching. I have no clue how you see the world. If you still think doom and gloom and end of the world, Trump is bad situation, there's no hope and we're all screwed, I pray for you. God bless you. That's not happening, at least not on my timeline that I'm co-creating with a lot of you guys. And so we have to realize that changing the IRS to the ERS is going to be a huge break for a lot of Americans, especially you. You're probably going to get a lot of money back soon. Okay, we're not going to go deeper into how, but there's going to be wealth coming in ways you won't even know what to do with. And then you can invest in whatever you feel called to invest. So the money is going to change. And Trump also said today he is pausing the hiring and signing of any new IRS agents. What do you think about that?
At the start of the 20th century, America was the richest country on earth, and we defended our workers from unfair trade policies with tariffs. And we only made money. We had no income tax. All we did is charge other countries and foreign companies, if they wanted to sell to America, you had to pay for entry. Okay, so imagine this. The U.S. government had no income tax. Americans got to keep all their hard-earned money, and foreigners paid the price. So now, what's happened? We have the Internal Revenue Service. That means charge us internally. Now imagine politicians who can't even balance their own checkbook, taking our money, and what do every year? Let's just take more, let's just take more, let's just take more. So this is how Donald Trump is going to end it and fix it. Last week, he announced that we're going to return America to greatness by creating, and today is its birthday, the External Revenue Service. So if you're always wondering, is some bureaucrat going to cut your benefits? Not under Donald Trump. Not under Donald Trump. It means foreign companies are going to pay if they want to come and sell products to the wealthiest country on earth. And if they want to compete with American workers, then let's just not tax our American workers.
So as the dominoes keep falling, the pieces keep coming together, you can zoom out and you can see the bigger picture. What's the next thing that happened? Joe Biden had pardoned his whole family. He also pardoned a bunch of other people that you could be considered questionable. And I'll let you see what I'm talking about below. And so why would you actually do that hours before you leave, days before you leave, the day of you leave, if the person you're pardoning didn't commit a crime? And so remember what they did with Trump when all of a sudden he started talking about pardoning people once he left in 2020, pardoning his family, pardoning, he was in discussion. But as soon as he said in discussion, it was all planned out, military operation. And then the mainstream media, what did they do? They took it and blew it up, which you'll see on the next few stories. So they took it and blew it up, made it out of completely obliterated it into painting Trump and his family as crime. But now that boomerang's coming back on Biden. And now the media can't backpedal on it because they just said it 4 years ago. This is chess, not checkers. Crazy.
Have you ever heard of somebody getting a preemptive pardon who was innocent of all crime? Who's just an innocent person? Have you ever heard of that? Just somebody getting a blanket pardon and they're an innocent person?
But no, it's the president's own family. It's people that have been covering up for the president in addition to his own family.
Is there an innocent explanation for someone to seek preemptive pardons for family members? Would you do that if you knew you were innocent and just worried about outside forces?
The answer to that is going to be no. If you haven't done anything wrong, you sit there and go, what do you need a preemptive pardon for?
If he pardons people preemptively, he's essentially telling the public that these people have committed crimes. And we may not be aware of what they are, but the pardon is clear evidence that crimes have been committed.
I imagine if these preemptive pardons, it will be cast in a way that he is protecting his family and protecting their reputations from, villainous exterior forces that are against him.
First off, we should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability and that of his family members that pardons are a major obsession with him.
The idea of a kind of prospective pardon, this sort of permanent federal get-out-of-jail-free card. That seems to be what we're talking about in the case of this, right, with Giuliani and his 3 eldest children who, as far as we know, have not been convicted of a crime. Maybe they've committed a lot, and they don't want to face action. I don't know. It's weird. I wouldn't ask for a pardon. I don't think I deserve one because I don't think I've done anything criminal. But, where does that come from, that concept that you can just kind of wave your magic pardon wand?
We have Tish James. We have Xavier Becerra. Mimi Rocha is literally my DA in my town. There will be opportunities to prosecute these people regardless if they abuse the pardon power as they are thinking.
Hopefully, Ellie, there will be a skyfall on this entire crime family, and there will be another day for them to die.
The president does indeed pardon, let's say, Rudy Giuliani or any members of his family. Would you see that, and I asked Preet Bharara this question, as essentially an admission of guilt?
I certainly would view it that way. I think millions of Americans would view it that way. If there was no belief in criminality, why would he think a pardon was necessary?
CNN has learned President Biden will pardon his son Hunter Biden.
Like a dog without a bone, an actor out alone, riders on the storm. There's a killer on the road, his brain is squirming like a toad.
In our investigation, we knew that the laptop was real. DOJ knew that the laptop was real.
FBI knew the laptop was real.
Yes.
Based on the notes of this October 2020 meeting, the FBI and IRS, when did they know the laptop was real?
It was many months before October 2020. We were confirming certain aspects of it that it was real and legitimate as far back as late 2019.
Why was the Hunter Biden laptop reporting suppressed in October of 2020?
There was various reporting of people saying that it's potentially Russian disinformation. And one of those people is the current Secretary of State. His name was in a lot of the emails that were turned over to the House Ways and Means Committee that were on Hunter Biden's laptop.
I mean, it was clear that it was a campaign to discredit that information before an election. Ultimately, I guess you can conclude that it was for the purpose of affecting that election.
When you heard dozens of former intelligence officials say the laptop had the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, you knew that was false.
Yeah, and I mean, as a special agent, as a criminal investigator, and what I know, what I do, I don't know how they could have come to that conclusion regarding this laptop.
It was misinformation to try to make something else look like misinformation.
What are you citing now? It's an executive order relating to reforms to the federal workforce, including to the senior executive service.
We're getting rid of all of the cancer. I call it cancer. The cancer caused by the Biden administration.
Pretty freaking amazing, right? Scary, eye-opening. For a lot of you already know this. And so as we navigate probably these first 100 days, these first few weeks, I mean, look at the first 24 hours. Just be ready for more to come. More to be shown, more to be declassified, more to be exposed, and maybe familiar faces returning, some things changing with money. Have patience. Don't expect it all to happen overnight. However, a lot's been happening behind the scenes. As many of you know, Trump never left. This has all been a show. Yes, there have been bad things that happen. Yes, there are things that are out of the jurisdiction of what it means to be in the movie or in the declassification process. It's like multiple realities coming together. You have the planets aligning and all the spiritual realms opening. I mean, here we are. What a timeline jump. I'll share more with you guys tomorrow. I'm crashing out. Pray the dots keep connecting. Remember, when in doubt, zoom out. Always get back to controlling whatever you can in your life. Don't get lost in all this. Stay focused on you. Love you. With the amount of DMs that I have been getting lately, and I'm already